Who are the top shareholders of the biggest 8 Australian banks? Where are they based? And what percentage do they own? The answers to these questions have been extracted from the bank's 2022 annual reports. Links are available in the description box below. It may surprise you that the 8 major banks have the same top 5 shareholders, and in 4 out of 5 cases, the parent companies of these shareholders are foreign owned. These shareholders are HSBC Custody Nominees, headquartered in London; JP Morgan Nominees, New York; Citicorp Nominees, New York; BNP Paribas Nominees, France; National Nominees, Australia. These companies are nominee companies which are nominated to hold shares on behalf of other entities. Now, if an entity has an interest of 5% or more of the total voting shares in the bank, they are classified as substantial shareholders and their names must be disclosed by law. Would it surprise you that only 3 companies are recognised as substantial shareholders in all of the 8 banks? They are the BlackRock Group, headquartered in New York, the State Street Corporation, based in Boston, and the Vanguard Group in Pennsylvania. All are foreign owned and based in the USA. So who are the main shareholders of each bank? What percentage of ordinary shares do these shareholders own? Who are the substantial shareholders of each bank? Page 283 of the Commonwealth Bank's Annual Report 2022 lists the top 20 shareholders. We will focus on the top 5. These 5 companies own 48% of all Commonwealth ordinary shares. Remember, 4 of the 5 are foreign owned. The substantial shareholders for the Commonwealth Bank are the BlackRock Group, State Street Corporation, and the Vanguard Group. The National Bank's top shareholders can be found on page 259 of their 2022 annual report. As you can see, the top 5 are the same as the Commonwealth Bank's top 5 shareholders and hold 53% of the total ordinary shares. The substantial shareholders are BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Turning to page 298 of Westpac's 2022 annual report, it seems the same top 5 appear once more. These top 5 own 45% of Westpac's ordinary shares. The substantial shareholders are, again, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. The ANZ Top 20 shareholder list appears on page 246 of their 2022 annual report. Again, the top 5 are the same companies and own 54% of all ANZ's ordinary shares. Again, we find the same substantial shareholder list as in the previously mentioned banks. Suncorp Group Limited have its top shareholders on page 196 of their annual report 2022. The same 5 shareholders own 64% of all ordinary shares. The substantial shareholders again are the same, being the BlackRock Group, Vanguard Group, and State Street Corporation. Page 147 of the Bendigo and Adelaide Bank's annual report shows the same 5 shareholders as all previous banks mentioned. They own 39% of all the bank's ordinary shares. The substantial shareholders are the Vanguard Group and the State Street Corporation. Page 189 of the Bank of Queensland's annual report shows again the same 5 shareholders holding prime position, owning 37% of all ordinary shares. Page 193 shows the substantial shareholders being the Vanguard Group and State Street Corporation. The Macquarie Bank's top shareholders can be found on page 301 of the 2022 annual report. This bank has some differences compared to the others. The top 5 includes Bond Street Custodians, who is owned by Macquarie. They replace BNP Paribas Nominees. Total shareholding of the top 5 is 59% of all ordinary shares. The substantial shareholders are Macquarie Group Limited and the BlackRock Group. So what are the takeaways? These 5 companies are the majority shareholders in the 8 biggest banks in Australia. 4 out of 5 are foreign owned. These three companies are the largest individual shareholders in the 8 biggest banks in Australia. All three are foreign owned. Less than 1% of shareholders of each bank owns around 50% or more of the total shares issued. Thanks for watching, and feel free to pass on the link to family and friends.